The day he walked into my life, the sun poured its gold across the red dusty ground. The afternoon he was walked into my father's church. I still remembered it clearly. His tall frame cloaked in a simple white shirt, sleeve rolled neatly at his elbows, Bible in one hand, a humble smile on his lips. There was something about him that made even the old women on the front pew whisper among themselves. They said, "He looks like the prodigal son, finally returning home." And somehow, I believed it too. As choir practice ended and I packed the hymn books, our eyes met, just for a second. But something in that gaze made a small voice in my heart whisper, "Be careful." I smiled it away. I was the pastor's daughter after all. I have seen many new faces come and go. But this one felt different, too different. "Pastor, I am tired of the word," he said, kneeling before my father the very next Sunday. The entire congregation watched, stunned, as he wept openly, tears streaming down his face. He confessed a past filled with evil deeds, claimed he was once a Yahoo boy, a liar, a thief, but now he had found salvation. My father placed a trembling hand on his head and prayed, his voice thick with emotion. The church burst into hallelujahs. Some women danced, some men clapped. Me? I stood frozen at the choir stand, my heart strangely beating faster. Looking back now, I realize some crocodiles also know how to shed tears. My name is Adeze. I had lived my life carefully, like a precious clay pot kept high on a shelf. My father, Pastor Manu, was a man of deep faith and even deeper dreams for me. I was to marry a godly man, bear godly children, continue the legacy. At 24, I had turned down several suitors. Some were wealthy, some were handsome, but my heart longed for something real, a man after God's heart. When he, the man with the broken smile, entered my life, I felt it like a destiny answering my prayer. Like I didn't know that some prayers, when answered wrongly, become curses. I should have seen them. The way he always switched off his phones when we were together. The strange text messages that made him excuse himself abruptly. The way his eyes sometimes darkened when no one was watching. But love is dangerously blind. He was sweet. He quoted scriptures with ease. He fasted more than even my father's elders. He is the perfect man for you. Mama Nkechi, the women's leader, whispered one day, "See how he prays. God has truly changed him." I smiled shyly, hugging the thought to my chest. But beneath that white shirt and easy smile, a snake was coiling, waiting. The day he proposed, it rained heavily. He stood under the mango tree near the old church wall, soaked to his skin, holding a tiny silver ring. "Adeze," he said, voice trembling. "God spoke to me. You are my destiny." Tears blurred my eyes. My heart swelled. For once, I felt like every sermon about love and destiny was coming true. I said yes. I said yes with all my innocence my heart could carry. And that was the day I tried my life and I tied it to a man whose heart was to worship another God, the God of greed, the God of deceit, the God of Yahoo. The wedding preparation moved faster than a flood in rainy season. My mother was the happiest woman in the village. She danced from morning till night, preparing yam, rice, and pepper soup menus in her dreams. My father prayed more, thanking God for bringing a lost sheep home. But not everyone celebrated. Old Baba Chibozo, the village carpenter, cornered me one afternoon, his eyes grey with age, held a strange sorrow. "My daughter," he said, voice low, "a tree that stands too straight sometimes hides worm inside." I laughed nervously. "Baba, you worry too much." But his voice stuck to me like wet cloth. If only I had listened. After his so-called repentance, he became the church shining star. He led prayer meeting with a fire that held old deacons clap harder. He organized vigils. He visited widows. He donated to the poor. flashy donations that made people whisper his name with reverence. That young man is truly changed, they said. They will take the work of God to greater heights. Every time he smiled at me across the pulpit, my heart raced faster. In a world where every girl feared heartbreak, I thought I had found my safe harbor. But what is a safe harbor when the storm is brewing inside the ship? The lies started small. I lost my phone. Network is bad. An old friend needed help at midnight. Like excuses, little shadows. One night, I found a crumbled receipt in his pocket, a receipt for an expensive iPhone purchase. Yet, he had told me he was saving for our future. I confronted him gently. He laughed, pulling me into his arms. Adesa, my love, you overthink. I bought it for a friend's son who just gave his life to Christ. I smiled, ashamed of my doubt. But deep inside, a small crack formed, a crack that would one day split my whole heart apart. 2 weeks to the wedding, I started having strange dreams. Dreams of a white dove bleeding from its wing. Dreams of a dark silver swallowing a wedding gown. I told Mama. She dismissed it quickly. Dreams are dreams, Adeze, she said, bustling around the kitchen. The devil fights good fights. Pray harder. So I prayed and fasted. And she shut my eyes to the storm, screaming inside my heart. The wedding invitation went out, gold embossed, shining, beautiful, just like the mask he wrote. The church was packed. Villagers who hadn't entered church for years came just to see the marriage of the century. My heart tottered into my white lace gown. My father smiled proudly, adjusting his bishop robe. My mother cried tears of joy, and there he was, standing at the altar, handsome in a crisp white agbada, eyes shining with something I mistook for love. When he slid the ring into my finger, the whole church erupted in cheers. You may kiss a bride, my father said, voice thick with emotion. As his lips burst mine, a strange silver ran through me, not of love, but of something darker, something cold. And the heavens, once clear and brightly, slowly darkened with silent thunder. Our first night as husband and wife was magical, or so it seemed. He whispered sweet words into my ears, promises of forever, prayers of unity. I held onto every word like a child clinging to a balloon in a storm. But even as he kissed me, something about the way his phone kept vibrating on the bedside table gnawed at me. Ignore it, my love, he said, pulling me closer. Tonight is ours, and so I did. I ignored it. I ignored the storm gathering outside the window. I ignored the thunder rolling low in the distance. After all, love is supposed to cover a multitude of sins, isn't it? The first time he disappeared that night, I woke up alone. The bed beside me was cold, the sheets untouched. At first, I thought he was in the bathroom. I waited and waited. When he returned 2 hours later, his shirt was damp with sweat and his eyes were wide with some untold excitement. Business call? He muttered. An opportunity to bless our familiar days. He kissed my forehead and slipped under the covers. I turned to face the wall, biting my lips. Something was wrong. But when you love someone, you don't want to believe your heart is lying to you. So I swallowed my fears and slept in the restless silence. The first whisper came from the market women. Have you seen Brother Chuka's new car? I heard he had land in Enugu. Where does he get his money so fast? I heard it while buying pepper and onions. My cheeks flushed with anger. My husband worked hard for the Lord. I snapped at them. They laughed quietly behind their baskets. As I walked away, the bag of onions in my hand felt heavier than usual, heavier with the weight of suspicion creeping into my bone. But love defends reason, and pride behind the eyes. So I refused to see, I refused to hear. One night, after another mysterious disappearance, curiosity overpowered love. I waited until he slept, heavy breathing, one arm flung over his eyes. Quietly, I took his phone. Password protected, of course, but God has ways of exposing darkness. Without thinking, I entered my birthday as a password. It opened. What I saw made my blood run cold. Messages, chats, accounts, photos, a world of lies hidden inside a small glowing screen, fake prophecies, emails to wealthy widows, blessed oil for sale, special seeds to open your womb. Transfer 1 million for divine favor. My hands trembled. The man lying beside me was not lost sheep. He was a wolf in a cassock. I dropped the phone back beside him and stumbled into the bathroom. I leaned against the sink, breathing hard, my reflection swinging in tears. Who is this man? I whispered. Who did I marry? The walls of my father's house felt like they were closing in. The walls of my heart cracked wide open. It was no longer about me. It was about my father's church, the souls he trusted with us, the legacy built on prayers and fasting. And now
Thank you
it
very
was
much
all in the hands of a
for
liar,
listening to
a
this
thief,
story.
a
Please,
deceiver.
I would want to
I
share
fell to my
something
knees
very close to
on
my
the
heart
cold bathroom
concerning
floor.
this story.
God, I cried.
I
What
speak
do I
today
do
not
now?
as
The
someone
only
who has it
answer
all
was
figured out,
silence. The
but
same
as
silence
someone
that
who has
fills a
walked
house
through a few
just
dark
before the
valleys,
roof collapsed.
stumbled,
By
gotten
morning,
up,
I heard
and
the
along the
rehearsal, a
way
thousand ways
learned
to
that you
confront
should
him.
never
But when
judge
he woke
anyone
up
if you are
smiling,
not in their
stretching
shoe.
lazily like a
Now,
man
I
with
have one
nothing
more
to
story
hide,
to tell
my
in order to
courage
crown my
crumbled.
story up.
Good morning, my queen,
Years
he
ago,
said,
I was in a
planting a
waiting
kiss on
room
my
at a
forehead.
government
I
hospital.
swallowed
You
the
know the
lump in
kind
my
of pain
throat and
peeling,
forced a
fans
smile.
creaking,
Was I
everyone's face
crazy?
carrying a story.
Was I imagining
Now,
things?
I sat
Maybe it
next to
wasn't
a
what it looked
woman
like.
who looked
Maybe he had a
completely out
reason.
of place.
Maybe.
Her hair was
Maybe.
messy,
I
her
spent
cloth
the day
old
cooking,
and worn
cleaning,
out,
and smiling,
her eyes
pretending that
swollen
I
from
hadn't seen
crying.
the mask
People
slip.
glanced at
But
her.
deep inside,
Some even
my
moved
heart was
away.
breaking
One
piece
woman
by
whispered,
piece.
"She looks
One
like a mad
evening,
woman.
he was on the pole
Maybe
outside.
she's on
He
drugs."
didn't know I was
But
standing
I
by the
couldn't look
curtain.
away. Not
Oga,
out of
relax,
pity,
he said,
but
laughing.
curiosity, and
Church people
eventually
are the
we
easiest
spoke.
to chop.
She told
They
me her
believe
child had been
anything if
hit
you add
by
Holy
a car
Spirit to
the
it.
night
My
before,
stomach
and the
twisted.
hospital has
My
refused to
knees
treat her
buckled
without
slightly,
a
and I
deposit.
clenched the
She
curtain
had
for
begged in
support.
the street,
He was
sold
pacing
her
back and
phones, and
forth,
walked miles
phone pressed to his
barefooted
ears,
just to come
grinning
back.
like a wolf
That was
fattened
why
by
she
sheep.
looked the way she did.
No wahala.
I
The
felt
pastor's
so
daughter
ashamed.
is already
You
inside
see,
my
from
pocket.
the
He
outside,
bragged.
she looked
Soon,
like a
I will
mess.
control the
But
whole
on the
offering
inside,
box.
she
My
was a
blood
mother,
turned to
a
ice.
warrior, a
This was
symbol
not a
of
dream.
unconditional love.
This was real.
That
And
was
I
the
was
day I
married to
promised
a
myself.
monster.
Never
That
again
night,
would I ever
as we
judge
ate
a
dinner,
soul by
my
their
hands shook
appearance,
so badly
status,
that my
or
spoon
choices
clattered
until
on the
I knew
floor.
their
He
story.
looked up
Because
sharply.
truth be told,
You dey shake?
everyone
Wetin
we meet
happen?
is fighting
He
a battle
asked,
you cannot
narrowing his
see.
eyes.
Some
I
wear their
shook my
pain on
head
their sleeves.
quietly.
Others
Nothing,
bury it
just
deep
tired.
beneath
He
smiles
leaned
and
close
makeup,
across the table.
behind designers'
Adaeze,
clothes,
always
or
remember,
loud laughters.
loyalty is what
But
keeps love
it's
alive.
there,
If you ever
always,
betray me,
behind
he
every
smiled
silence,
sweetly,
every
but
frown,
his voice
every
dripped
late
with
arrival,
threat. He
every
wouldn't like
strange
the outcome.
decisions.
I
There
nodded
is a
neatly,
reason,
heart
and more
pounding.
often
He had
than
seen
not,
something in my
that
eyes.
reason is
He
pain.
knew,
We
and
live in
now
a
I
world
was
that is quick
trapped.
to point
That
fingers,
night, I
quick to
snuck
label
out to
someone
Mama's
lazy,
house under
weird,
the cover of darkness.
irresponsible,
I
difficult,
fell into
toxic,
her arms,
without even
sobbing
asking,
uncontrollably.
what happened to
Adaeze,
you?
what
What if the
happened?
man
She
who
cried
always
aloud.
comes late to
But when
work
I
is
tried to
struggling with
explain, the
depression
words
and
choked
can
me.
barely get
What would
out
I
of bed
say?
each morning?
That the golden
What if
boy
the
of the
girl who
church was a
dressed
thief?
different and
That the daughter they were so
using her
proud of
claws
had
as a
married a
form of
curse?
protection,
I wiped my
trying to
tears and
reclaim her
lied.
identity after
I'm just
abuse?
tired, Mama.
What if the boy
Marriage
who
is harder
fails
than I
every
thought.
class is hungry,
She hugged me
sleeping in a
tightly,
cold room
prayed,
at
my
night,
daughter.
with no one to
Marriage
encourage
is
him?
warfare.
We don't know.
Pray and God
That
will
is
fight for
why
you. But
judging is
some wars are
dangerous.
not
You are
fought
not in their
with prayers
shoes. You
alone.
haven't
Some
felt the
requires
blisters on
words,
their
and I
feet,
was yet
the
to
weight of
realize
their burdens,
mine
or the
was still
rock they
buried
stepped
deep
on
into the
along the
ground.
way.
The
You don't
next
know what
day,
it
I
feels like
decided
to
to
be
play
them.
along.
And
I
I know
smiled brighter.
it's human
I
nature.
kissed him
We
longer.
judge to
I
feel
prayed
safe,
louder.
to feel
But inside,
superior,
I was
to
building
convince
a
ourselves we are
secret
doing
plan.
okay.
I started
But
watching,
all that does
listening,
is
gathering small
isolate
pieces of
people.
truth,
It builds
like a woman
walls
weaving
where
a
we should
net
be
to
building
catch a lion.
bridges.
One
It
wrong
breeds
move,
shame
and he would
where we
devour
should be
me.
showing
But one
compassion.
night move,
And let me
one right
remind you,
move,
there
and I
was a
could
time
save
you
my
didn't
father's
even have
church,
it
save the
together,
people
a
he was
time you messed
deceiving,
up, a time
save
someone
myself.
showed you
I
mercy,
didn't know
a
how,
teacher who believed
yet
in you
I
when
only knew
others
one
had
thing.
given up,
I could
a
no longer
stranger who
afford
helped you
to be the
without asking
naive girl
questions,
who
a
believed in
friend who
pretty
stood by
smiles.
you, even
I
when
was
you were
now a
hard
wife,
to love.
a warrior,
Now,
a
it's your
woman
turn.
in a deadly
Instead
game
of judging,
where the price of
ask.
failure
Instead
was
of
everything.
pointing,
Watch
listen.
out for part
Instead
2.
of laughing,
Please stay tuned
understand.
and don't miss
Instead of
the next
mocking,
episode
pray.
of this
And instead
interesting
of
story.
assuming,
I'm sure you're
imagine.
going to like it.
What if that
Thank
woman
you
who talks
and
too
see
much
you in
was
part
ignored
2.
all her life and is only now learning to be heard? What if the rude teenager at the store was just lost his dad? What if the quiet man who never smiles is carrying a grief so heavy it silences even his soul? You don't know. You might never know. But your kindness might be the light that brings them out of darkness. Your compassion might be the reason why they choose not to give up. Your non judgment might be the difference between them feeling like a human or a mistake. And listen, this doesn't mean we approve of bad behavior. It doesn't mean we excuse them or harm. But it seems we look deeper. We ask, what led you here? Before we say, you deserve this. Because when you understand someone's pain, you react with wisdom, you discipline with love, you confront with humility, you help with respect. When Jesus met the woman caught in adultery, everyone